John Brown, born on May 9, 1800, died December 2, 1859. Execution by hanging, white American abolitionist. Known for a raid on Harper's Ferry, killed 5 men, and the story goes like this.
On May 24, 1856, John Brown and his sons murdered 5 innocent men, accusing them of owning slaves. Escaping, Brown and his sons had to live with the pain of murdering innocent men, realizing the men they murdered did not own any slaves and were just pro-slavery advocates.
For 3 years, Brown started collecting money in order to create a colony for runaway slaves and to violently overthrow slavery. 65 years before that, George Washington chose Harper's Ferry as one of the locations for National Armory to be kept. Changing his name to Isaac Smith, John Brown bought a farm in Maryland near Harper's Ferry in order to get the armory he needed to start a revolt.
To be prepared for the revolt, Brown hired Hugh Forbes for $600. Both men argued about money and strategies. While his plan backfired, Forbes went to D.C. to meet with Senators Seward and Wilson to discuss further plans with what Brown was trying to make happen. Knowing Brown's plan, Wilson sent a letter to Saken. Taking Wilson's advice seriously, the backers tried to warn Brown that their weapons should not be used for what Brown had in mind. In response, Brown went to Kansas to gain more supporters and make Forbes look bad.
On October 16th, Brown and his men cut off telegraph lines between Washington, D.C. and Kansas, but still allowing a train to run from Baltimore to Ohio, which passed through Harper's Ferry. After the power being off for 5 hours, the train reached Baltimore the next day, and the conductor instantly contacted authorities in D.C. Another thing Brown expected was for local slaves to join in for the revolt. Not only did this not happen, but local people shot at the raiders that were a part of it.
The next day, early morning, the army discovered Brown's men. Local people surrounded the armory, cutting off any escape routes the raider had. Realizing this, Brown took 9 captives and moved to a small engine house. The raiders secured the house so no one could get in, and at times exchanged fire with the people surrounding them. After a while, Brown sent his son Watson and Aaron Dwight Stevens with a white flag, but both were shot at, and from there, the raid was going downhill. Some of the raiders would try to escape the engine house, but none being successful. Later that afternoon, a militia forced themselves into the engine house, freeing over 2,000 captives. President James Buchanan ordered a detachment of the U.S. Marines to march on Harper's Ferry.
Lee offered local militias to help the nation from Brown, but both militias declined, and then he turned to the Marines. Lee then sent Lieutenant G.E.B. Stuart to push forward a truce with Brown, and he said if Brown declined, the Marines would give permission to move forth. Of course, with Brown being the type of person he is, he refused the deal. Seconds later, the Marines were attacking Brown and his men. While 2 men tried entering with sledgehammers, other men were using a ladder to enter. Within 3 minutes, all raiders were captured, and that was the end of that. John said, "I have been whipped, as the saying is, but I am sure I can recover all the lost capital occasioned by that disaster by only hanging a few moments by the neck, and I feel quite determined to make the utmost possible out of a defeat."
Robert E. Lee made a report of the raid at Harper's Ferry, saying, "The plan raiding the Harper Ferry's arsenal was an attempt of a fanatic or a madman." Lee also believed that Brown forced African American supporters to participate in the event.
Some fugitives got away, and Lee and Green had every intention to find the ones who were part of Brown's raid. Brown was charged for treason in court and was later hanged on December 2nd.
John Brown's last words were, "I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away but with blood. I had now, as I to think, vainly flattered myself that without very much bloodshed it might be done."
Time out. You can't say. You can't say. You have to say go. Then
You have to press.
Someone has to be talking to the two other people.
No! You! Nobody move! Zip your face! I killed you. I just want chicken.
Hi, Mr. Saken.
what?
Bye, Mr. Saken.